Like all movements, the San Francisco Latin rock movement started with a very small number of people living close together. The Mission District was an old Irish neighborhood filling up in the 1960s with the latest wave of immigrants, Latinos. Pete Gallegos is a longtime Mission District resident, musician, and community organizer.
I mean, the Mission was never, I think, considered a very high-income area. It was always a place where you could grow up and be whatever you wanted to be. And see, I think that's what set the ground work for the music. I mean, Mission High School, which is in the heart of the Mission, had, in 1958, Bobby Freeman. You know, this was an R&B song straight out of the Mission. Who would think that 10 years later, in 1968, Carlos Santana would come out of Mission High School and turn the whole city upside down.
In 1961, mariachi musician Jose Santana migrated from Tijuana to San Francisco in search of a better life for his family. His youngest son, George, remembers.
I thought I was just going on vacation or coming back for a week or so. I physically packed, and what I knew up to my 12 years old had been left behind. Short after, the family followed, meaning 4 sisters, 2 bedrooms for 9 people. Pretty much the heart of the Mission.
The only English that I spoke when I came to San Francisco was stick 'em up.
His older brother, Carlos Santana.
And I learned stick 'em up from watching television outside a fence, because we couldn't afford a television, so we were outside these people's houses, and through the fence I could see a window open, and I heard Roy Rogers say, "Stick 'em up," and guys went like that. I went, stick 'em up, stick 'em up.
It was tough going for an immigrant family of 9, and everybody was expected to join the labor force. But young Carlos Santana was intent on becoming a musician, and against his parents' wishes, he went back to Tijuana to play with a band.
Yeah, we were playing straight ahead blues, and we call it cut and shoot, because if you don't play it right, they cut or shoot you. They don't, some blues audience, man, in the real funky side of Tijuana towns or Juarez, Tijuana is very fertile, because people are really unassuming. It's kind of like Las Vegas, but more funky. So you learn in Tijuana, a border town, you learn to articulate a very naked, unassuming form of music.
A year later, he returned to San Francisco, where he held a succession of nowhere jobs. Eventually, Carlos left home to pursue his dream. George Santana.
Mom, my oldest brother, we would hear that Carlos was living here, no, he was living there. All along for about 2 years, he was maybe 10 blocks away from where we were. But he wasn't hiding. He had the bug seriously. He wanted to be a musician.
Michael Carabello also grew up in the Mission. His father used to take him all the way across San Francisco to Aquatic Park to fish off the piers there. But young Michael was more fascinated by the drum circle that played in the park nearby.
I started just going there on my own on the bus, taking a conga drummer that I had borrowed from a friend of mine, and got on the 47 Potrero to Aquatic Park, and I'd have a yellow conga drum, of all colors to have a conga drum, yellow, and go there and play conga drums on Saturdays and Sundays and just really, really be into it.
Once again, Carlos Santana.
We went to Aquatic Park, and they had nothing but conga players. Everybody's one flute player and about 10, 15 conga players, and they're all screaming jingo. Jingo? What the hell is jingo? That's really infectious, and it was from Olatunji. This is before, because I heard before. See, I used to go to picnics in San Jose, even before that, and there'd be like 3 bands. There'd be like Puerto Rican, Cuban, Afro-Cuban music, like Cal Jader or Mungo Santa Maria or Lowe and Melon, and there'd be a mariachi music, and it'd be like a blues band. And so I would walk away, and I could hear all 3 of them at the same time. And I said, that's the sound that I want to get. I want to incorporate all of this music and make it all one.
Santana stepped into a turbulent San Francisco Bay Area. There were war protesters in Berkeley, Black Panthers in Oakland, hippies in the Haight-Ashbury, a dizzying social kaleidoscope. It was also the time of a quiet, remarkable community organizer, the man who founded the United Farm Workers Union, Cesar Chavez.
I'm not very different from anyone else who has ever tried to accomplish something with his life.
When Cesar started, and he didn't think he was going to be a leader.
Graciela Martinez is program coordinator for Proyecto Campesino, a program that supports farm workers in the San Joaquin Valley.
When you look around and you see, oh my goodness, look at how many people feel the same way I do. That's when, you start organizing. You start having little meetings like this, 3 or 4 people around a table. He and his mother never dreamed that he would be rubbing elbows with, a potential president.
Jose Simon played bass in the Latin rock band Sapo.
Latin rock and Cesar Chavez and Viva la Raza and Si Se Puede, it was a connection between the growers and the Chicano movement and the music happened at the same time. So besides the social treatment of our people, we were expressing ourselves with music.
Once again, Pete Gallegos.
Prior to Cesar Chavez, there weren't any real national Latino leaders that you could identify with. The black community had several. They had Martin Luther King, they had Malcolm X, they had Rosa Parks, they had Adam Clayton Powell in Congress. I mean, they had a lot of leaders. Latinos had no leaders out there in the public eye.
For the women, it was really difficult. Sometimes the crew leader or the mayordomo, they would make sexual advances, especially to young girls like myself.
We weren't seen, we weren't heard. The world was a black and white world.
Then there was a Latino name, Cesar Chavez, and it became more blended into society and more accepted.
To this day, white America has not realized what sort of gifts and accomplishments Cesar Chavez brought to his people.
Joel Selvin is the longtime pop music critic for the San Francisco Chronicle.
The idea that these workers had a dignity was suddenly introduced to the society right around the same time that Santana's first album came out.
With this vast immigrant community just beginning to look around and recognize its own existence, the Santana Blues Band was launched in San Francisco. Conga drummer Michael Carabello.
We started playing like these little dances and stuff like that. I don't think we had a name back then. There was a name of some sort. We just got the gig. And me and the fellows that kind of were playing with Carlos before that were going to the Fillmore already. And seeing Paul Butterfield and Charles Lloyd. And I remember going and asking someone, how do you get to audition to play at the Fillmore? Because I wanted it bad. I wanted to play there.
Running the shows at the Fillmore was the most influential concert promoter of his day, Bill Graham, whose first musical love was dancing the mambo.
Bill Graham could dance mambo better than a lot of cats, man.
Chuy Varela is a music journalist and disc jockey.
He was at the Palladium Ballroom dancing to Tito Puente. He was a waiter in the Catskill Mountains, supplementing his income, teaching mambo lessons to all these Jewish kids up there in the Catskills. I don't know, man. Bill Graham really, to me, was really a person that, because of the way he looked at life, a progressive political person, managing the mime troupe. Even look who came out of the mime troupe, Luis Valdez, Danny Valdez. He was the guy that gave these guys a break. So Chicano culture owes a lot to Bill.
Journalist Joel Selvin says Bill Graham was immediately attracted to the sound of the Santana Band.
Bill Graham became affiliated with them immediately. Manager, booker, whatever he could get going on with them, putting them on shows. It was Bill who gave them the Willie Bobo song, Evil Ways.
The Santana Band served notice that there was a Spanish accent in American music. George Santana pinpoints the sound in his brother's guitar.
It really had a melodic riff that you could identify now more so with a Latino. And it wasn't even a melody that was played by a trumpet, but you knew where it was coming from somebody Latino.
The use of the electric guitar, quintessential American instrument.
Ethnomusicologist Marisol Berrios Miranda.
The way Carlos Santana embraced that icon of U.S. popular music, that was very much saying, I am speaking your language. I am using your instrument. It's an American symbol. I am an American.